This is a Review Ed special, recorded April 13th, 2012. The Intel Studybook, What an Education Tablet Should Be. This Review Ed special is brought to you by StudyBlue, the mobile and online study service that helps students learn their stuff for free. StudyBlue enables students to quickly share and compare their explanations with more than 1 million of their peers who are sharing over 40 million ideas. Anyone can test drive the database of explanations by visiting StudyBlue's homepage at studyblue.com and follow them on Twitter at StudyBlue. We thank them for their support of this Review Ed special. Alright, so welcome to this week's episode of Review Ed. We are recording on Friday the 13th, already enjoying some small technical issues, but we hope that for the rest of the show it's going to be alright. With me, as every week, is our senior editor over at EduQuest, Christopher Dawson, of course, also well known for his education.zdnet.com blog. So, Chris, how are you today? Any other challenges on Friday the 13th, or everything all right?
Things are going okay. Things are okay. It's kind of been, it's been one of those days, but not so much bad, just long. But it's Friday. We're almost done. In the home stretch now.
Just another interview probably tomorrow for us, but so Christopher and I are we are constantly trying to see what works for our various shows, and of course approaching the 25th episode of Review Ed. We had a talk earlier, and basically also taking into account what we get as feedback, what we see as viewer counts and downloads. We basically think that we are going to focus on the formats or the segments of Review Ed that work the best, which is the interview format and also a big story of the week. And we think as, Review Ed every week, not only for you, our viewers and listeners, but also for us, is becoming more and more monstrous. So we think we are going to give the news part its own show, much shorter, and have also Review Ed this way much more streamlined. And we hope, we know it's never perfect, but we are constantly verifying, adjusting, and we hope that you will not be annoyed by it, but that we are going to make EduQuest or Review Ed better and more enjoyable for you. So that's sort of our first personal announcement, I'd say.
As much as I'll miss those hour-and-a-half conversations about all things ed tech, it might be a little more digestible for our viewers.
Well, we are, as we said, we are definitely playing with the thought of having a live show once a month, and I mean the format. It is appreciated and it also works, but it has never been carved in stone, like. From my side at least. So if the viewers and listeners give us the feedback that they enjoy the interview part most, and when we have a big story, so we give them what they want, or hopefully want.
I hope so. That's right.
Okay, our big story for this week, we briefly touched on it last week when you went over to Boston and met with Intel. You were under embargo, of course, but you posted a very nice and detailed blog over at ZDNet, and I mentioned the blog before, so everybody who wants to read the details about the new Intel Studybook and read about all the features should definitely go over and read Chris' last post. And so this Studybook announcement I, of course, read your post, and what does it mean for you? How does it feel like, and why do you like it so much?
I've always liked the smaller form factor tablets, and students generally seem to gravitate towards them more. It's hard because I have this giant phone too, and so you say, well, how many, moderately sized screens do I need? But for the average student, in fact, the average teacher, and actually the average just about anybody, they don't have this plethora of tablets and screen sizes, and to have a device that is sort of right sized, that is workable for very small hands, and workable actually for adult sized hands as well, and everything in between, that's an important piece. I think by far the more important piece, though, is, this is Intel we're talking about, and so they have this long history of x86. They are x86. And so this is one of the first tablets we've seen on the market with an Atom processor. And what that represents is the ability to make use of a huge number of peripherals and tools and things that schools already have in place, and whether it's Android as an operating system, which is sort of their default, or Windows, or even Linux, it's all supported, and supported pretty easily.
So they basically give the schools the option. They, as I read, so somewhat they, or it comes with Android, but you have the option, if you prefer something else, you can switch. It might have in some way or the other maybe an effect on the price, but the pricing for this 7-inch tablet, is not at all made public so far, so this is a little bit the not so clear part, at least for the moment.
The base model they're expecting to come in under $200 when it's been obviously introduced,
really in this market.
It really is, yeah. And they're, of course, they're Intel, so they can leverage some economies of scale. They can produce a whole lot of Atom processors pretty cheaply, and then of course the whole Intel Classmate Learning Series model has always been about creating reference designs and then licensing those designs to local OEMs. So here in the States, there's a couple OEMs, the traditional M&A and CTL. They've been carrying the Classmates for a long time and producing them. They'll be doing the same with the study book, but this is where there's actually the Classmate itself has actually spawned a fair amount of local industry. Portugal is producing a lot of Classmates their own, and then selling them in quite large numbers to South American countries. So you get sort of this cottage industry effect by having a flexible design that can be purchased or manufactured at a low cost, and then you allow all the content, whether that's an operating system or specific apps, specific ebooks, whatever, to be handled locally. So the very base model actually is quite a usable little tablet, but even if you really kind of option things out, you put the Gorilla Glass in, you upgrade the RAM and the flash storage space, you're going to be coming in, right near that $300 mark, which is still, I think, it's a pretty powerful value, and I think that a large degree of the value comes with the fact there is this software stack that's included in the price. That's another piece of Intel's reference design and their partnerships they develop with a number of companies. So, all of a sudden a one-to-one tablet that would normally be used just for maybe an e-reader and a basic internet access device suddenly becomes a science lab or a calculator with very advanced math utilities, a charger for your cell phone. It's a really flexible device, and they also have just recently a new spec for a teacher PC. So of course they're pushing Ultrabooks as the choice for this, but there's a software stack there as well that allows management then of these devices, whether it's the traditional Classmates or their new tablet. So it's this whole ecosystem that works together that is so compelling, I think.
And I think at least my feeling is what you like most about it, besides what you mentioned, a good camera, also like it being very solid in kids' hands. And I can share a personal story. As maybe after reading your post, I put it to the test with the iPad, and it basically let it slide down from my table to a chair, and now it has this nice ditch here. So it was very interesting to see. The iPad looks beautiful, but actually to me it always looked very solid, and well, it basically dropped from a not very high table, and it's not very damaged, so the screen, the glass is still okay. But I would say a degree more, maybe a millimeter more, and my screen would have crashed. So it was actually interesting to see how fragile it is in the end. So a solid PC or tablet in that in that story, particularly for kids, is probably something really good. And I mean, I have seen a number of crashed iPhone screens, and well, almost now my iPad as well.
You're an iPad,
I mean,
right?
I mean, I have insurance, so it would have been okay. But
If you're looking
still, it
at
was
kids
a little
using
bit,
them, right?
Yeah.
A little scary. But and if you look at the average use case, no matter what age a student is, the average 16-year-old or the average 6-year-old, they're just not as delicate about their equipment as we are. When I walked into the conference room, the guy from Intel tossed this thing across the table to me, landed on the table with a little clatter, and there it was. And it's not the sort of thing that most of us would probably want to do with our iPads or whatever tablet device we have. Even the Kindle Fire, although it's really inexpensive, I don't feel the need to test it out in that way. But
I
I
have
think
my cat who tests out my stuff, my gear. So basically lets netbooks fall from a table and so on. So he's a very good test unit in that respect.
I'm looking forward to actually getting one that I can hang on to for a while and really putting it through its paces. But such a big part of Intel's approach has always been to create the most rugged device they can that is still highly portable and still affordable. And I think they've managed to balance that pretty nicely. I guess what gets me is that we see tablet rollouts happening all the time now. Every school you hear a new story every day about a new iPad rollout. And for some schools that's working really, really well. And we see teachers doing great things with them. But for most schools, they're really expensive, and they're, as you can see, somewhat delicate. And the idea of having this big device that every student carries around, I don't know, it's never worked as well in my head as a slightly smaller, more ruggedized device that you can jam in a backpack, that you can sit on, that you can do the terrible things that kids do to computers. I mean, it's and even the average college student, I could very much see this being used in a higher education setting for that go-to device that a student takes with them that gets tossed into the backpack and carted around campus. And if you lose it, well, it's $200 and it's replaceable. And if that backpack gets dropped, well, chances are it's going to make it. It also has a nice feel to it. I mean, the iPad it's big enough to be awkward, and it has a very nice. The Studybook has a very nice sort of matte, rubberized feel to it. Sweaty palms and sticky hands would be not too much of a concern. It's also meant to be not waterproof, but water resistant. So they advocate and provide the software, in fact, for doing some really cool science stuff. And things are going to get wet when you take them and sample water in a pond, or look at amoeba that you gather out of that pond with the little microscope attachment. Yeah. It's going to get wet.
It's simply nice that the teacher and the students maybe not thinking about it that much, that you simply know I don't have to be that careful apparently I have to be with some of the other devices, as beautiful as they might be.
Yeah, you use them, not treat them gingerly.
Yeah.
And this thing is definitely meant to be used in the field, both literally and figuratively. I mean, there's lots of use cases for something with some great science software and the ecosystem hardware to go with it to get outside and do interesting things that you couldn't do even with the classmate PC. It's still a full blown netbook. It's still it doesn't lend itself as well to taking it in your hands and walking and going and doing something really active, and making use of the accelerometer now that's in every tablet and all these other things that you can do experimentation and exploratory learning that you can't do with other tools. So what seemed to me initially to be a total compromise and a complete sellout by Intel. Actually, I think they've introduced a tool that maybe is one of the more useful bits of technology I've seen come across my desk.
Probably in Apple's calculation that you must buy one new iPad every year, which is, of course, not really doable for schools. So I can definitely see the selling point here, besides on what you also particularly liked and wrote in your post, that it's the combination of solid hardware with a lot of nice functionality along with the software, probably.
Right,
so it works together.
Right, and the price. If you look at the new iPad, it screams. It's a brilliant interface. It's fast, it's beautiful, and that's great for a power user.
Does. Yeah.
It is the smoothest, prettiest. There's no lag. It's just it's lovely, and 4 cores and $500 will get you that. But my 9-year-old has absolutely no need for that. If he needs something that he can take and do things with, and it doesn't have to be incredibly snappy. Even the chip they have in it, it's a single core, but it has hyper-threading enabled. It's certainly snappy enough. People who are used to the iPad experience may say, "Oh, it's a little slow here," but that's not what it's about. And I think the other piece of this is interesting is the business models that can be built around it. I mean, I talked, I don't know, a couple months ago about if I could found a startup and providing sort of these turnkey solutions and to schools and kind of an insert digital learning here kind of thing. This is exactly the sort of device where that would be sustainable and doable for schools. And you have of course you have web access with it in a very nice browser and all the standard Android apps you can get. But you have a device that's so affordable as well that you could take and plop this down into a school and have sort of instant one-to-one at a price that people can manage, along with Intel's actually relatively famous professional development that goes with it. So I think that we can say what we want about the iPad, and it still has plenty of traction in schools because there's this perception of the need for traction. But I think that this could be. There's a couple challenges I think they're going to face, and distribution is the biggest. Who are you going to buy from, Apple or M&A Technologies?
Yeah.
I like M&A. Nice folks. Great company. But, if you would like to make purchases and you'd like to make purchases on your state contract or contracts that your ministries have potentially negotiated, distribution becomes a little more challenging, especially in developed markets where there isn't this push for local OEMs to be building industry. But that being said, if I was wanting to do a rollout of a one-to-one program and want something to be accessible across student lines, then this would be my tool of choice. They actually identified previously. Classmate was really branded K through 8. This is now very much actually not only K through 12 but even K through 16 as their target market. So.
And did they say when they want realistically start talking with schools and see how to get it in hands of real students?
Of actual students. I mean, I think we'll see this fall. This is sort of speculative, but I think this fall there should be availability. The timing of an April launch certainly lends itself to summer decisions and purchases and fall rollouts. That may be premature, but the pre-production model that I played with certainly seem to be working just fine, and software stacks are maturing and coming together. Lots of the existing partners are porting their stuff to Android. Of course, we have Windows 8 on its way, and I think this would obviously lend itself nicely to Windows 8, where we expect to see better performance on smaller screens. So fall-ish, but hopefully we'll have one to really beat the heck out of soon enough, and then hold it for our viewers. So just the little stock press photos that they sent on over, but
everybody, every blog having the same photo. No, but maybe you will be able to manage and have some updates on our way and until fall. So it definitely seems to be an attractive or solution or option for schools, and why not? It's not all Apple, so I also very much like other players to succeed in the market and get at least a little bit of share and see some traction, and then of course also adoption and see what teachers and parents maybe, but definitely students will say about it.
And hopefully at least shift the mindset a little bit away from, well, of course we're going to roll out iPads. Well, there is an option, and there's some good reasons to go with that option. Maybe you choose the iPad still. Maybe you choose MacBook Pros or HP workstations, whatever. But the more choices you have, I hope that it drives this idea of ecosystem further. They're even looking at the DRM issues that we've talked about for so long, and trying to solve that problem with content partners. So. Intel at least does a very good job of sort of advancing something that other folks may have already thought of it, but now, okay, let's take this, make it scalable, and let's start building some business models around it.
Well, great. Then let's see and get your colleague Charlie over from ZDNet on the line again, and see what both your opinions are about this new push by Facebook into the .edu and closed edu groups, and what we all think about that.
About time. Yeah, absolutely.